There's a lesson right there for anyone listening. Like, it's a long-term investment. The more you stay with, an agency to help you with everything that you've helped him with, which is not just SEO, I might add, you just keep amplifying the results. So yeah, it's a testament to that. The longer you're with somebody as somebody to help guide you, the better. And obviously for SEO and website traffic and conversions, all those things help. But I would say as well for anybody out there that, really the main lesson here, I guess, is to compete with AI, compete with your competitors. The only way you can do that is to build your personal brand, and brand is going to be, the future if it's not already. So consider that.
Hello and welcome to Marketing Speak. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer. It's my pleasure to have Greg Merrilees, founder of Studio One, back with us yet again. Another conversion-focused and SEO-focused case study episode where we're going to do some behind-the-scenes website teardowns and analysis of what worked and how we were able to get the kind of results that we got. This is for a client, a shared client, WhatIsMyIPaddress.com, and several auxiliary sites that we'll go through. But if you haven't heard of WhatIsMyIPaddress.com, this is it's a force to be reckoned with. It is a serious, major website. It's been around since 2000. It's in the top 3,000 of all websites. It has over 13 million unique visits a month. It's a powerhouse. Greg Merrilees, also a powerhouse. Welcome back, Greg.
Thanks, Stephan. Thank you so much for having me back. Yeah, this is an exciting case study. How many visitors did they have before you started working with them?
Yeah, 2 million. And we started in January of 2017. Yeah, so this has been a long-standing client continuously since 8 years now it's been.
There's a lesson right there for anyone listening. Like, it's a long-term investment. The more you stay with, an agency to help you with everything that you've helped him with, which is not just SEO, I might add, you just keep amplifying the results. So yeah, it's a testament to that.
When we were recording a case study episode in 2020, we were at 6 million unique visits a month, which was amazing. He was like over the moon about that, and now we're at 13 million. So we did another case study episode last year, and we were at, I think, 12 at the time, which was amazing and incredible. And he shared that this was something that he had never anticipated, that he would get anywhere near these kind of numbers.
So the growth is growing like exponentially. It's growing faster more recently by the sounds of it. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if exponential, but certainly it's been bucking the trend, right? So a lot of people are saying, hey, AI is taking a big bite out of our organic traffic because people are getting their answers directly from Google with AI overviews and now with AI mode. If people are getting the direct answer without clicking through to the website, then the traffic would go down. Maybe impressions go up, and that's that some people refer to it as a crocodile pattern, where in their Google Search Console, they see impressions going up and then they see the clicks going down. And that's been unusual. It's been, in concert, one with the other usually, up until, just recent months ago. So they're seeing this pattern. This is a big problem for many sites because no clicks fewer clicks means less revenue, less opportunity, fewer leads, fewer sales. And this is eroding the business proposition and the business model of the web and how search is supposed to work and how websites are benefiting from it. It used to be a symbiotic relationship. Now it's almost like Google's a parasite.
It seems that way, yeah. And I guess that's a good tie into what we're talking about today, which is building your brand essentially across, your personal brand to your business brand to boosting your authority. And these are all the things that you help clients with, especially the client that we're talking about now. Chris
Yeah.
Parker. So Chris is the CEO of What's My IP Address, but what is What's My IP Address, Stephan? What's it for?
The site originally started as a hobby in 2000. He was just doing it really for his own benefit. It was just a lookup tool to identify an IP address, and he never thought it would be something that would become popular by any stretch. And in fact, he had a full-time job up until, I don't know, like 2014 or something. So he was operating this just as a side thing. It wasn't really a viable business for the first number of years, but it did get a lot of traffic, so he had to put it into a proper server environment and everything so that it would handle the traffic. And a lot of people use it. A lot of people who are either in the IT world where they're looking up an IP address for, let's say, a computer that they're setting up in a I don't know, a cubicle farm for one of the new employees or whatever, or a consumer who's trying to get configured with a VPN, a virtual private network, and they're not sure if it's working or not, if it's changing the IP address, so they go and test it with WhatIsMyIPaddress.com. So that's the primary use case, but Google in recent years has been directly answering the question, what is my IP address, or what's my IP, et cetera. And so the value proposition has had to evolve to something that's more in line with what are people who are looking for an IP address really interested in. They're interested in cybersecurity. They're interested in maintaining their privacy. They're interested in keeping away from spam and scams and scammers and different kinds of security risks. So that's the pivot, or not pivot, but more like an evolution of the site over the last, I don't know, 7 years. It's been really focused on providing a lot of value for consumers and for IT professionals in those topic spaces. A lot of like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of really valuable articles that my team have have written over the last 7 years or so. And yeah, it's become a really valuable resource beyond just an IP lookup tool.
Incredible. So how does he monetize this website?
Yeah, so advertising is a primary channel. So getting people to sign up to be an advertiser on a site. He uses a platform for that. He used to use Google AdSense, and he switched platforms. I think I'll not say what platform it is because I don't know that he wants to share that. It's probably figure outable for somebody who really wants to know. But yeah, I want to be cognizant of his of the confidentiality between client and agency. But yeah, it's been a primary revenue generator for him is advertising, but then also affiliate revenue. So when people buy through an affiliate link of his, let's say they sign up for a VPN service or they sign up for something that helps with protecting them from identity theft or anything like that, then he gets a commission on that.
And it's a 7-figure business, isn't it? Or something.
Yes. That's something I can share because he has shared that publicly on my podcast and yeah. So when he was working full time, he never would have imagined that this could be a 7-figure business, and yet here we are.
I love it. So cool. And you introduced me to Chris. When was that? It was about 2019, I think, when you.
Yeah, or 2018, we embarked on a website redesign of whatismyipaddress.com that your team and you oversaw. That was in 2019. We embarked on that engagement and it went live in 2020. And yeah, so it really up leveled the look and feel and the brand of What Is My IP Address. It didn't look so homemade anymore. It looked really professional, and it was done in a way that didn't make the visitor feel disoriented or like, wow, this is too good for me. Like, this is a big fancy website owned by a major conglomerate now. Like, I don't want to use it anymore. Nope. People stayed loyal. In fact, it got more and more and more traffic, and it's gotten a lot of press. He's really done incredibly well with it. So maybe we should show the before and after now, and maybe that's a good time for that.
Absolutely. All right. So yeah, obviously, if you're listening, go over to YouTube or Stephan's website, marketingspeak.com, and have a look at this video because we're showing the before design of what it used to look like prior to 2018. And as you can see, like there's got some white blank rectangles on it. That's really the advertising space. So they were sort of all over this, which is really important because obviously it's one of the ways that he monetizes the website. But apart from that, we're just looking at it now without those ads, and it already looks quite busy.
Yeah. So there were ads on both sides, on left and right, and there's an ad unit that you see is blank above the IP address underneath the top nav. And yeah, so there were multiple ad units. There still are, but it was done in a way that it didn't alienate the visitor. It just was clearly ad supported. I mean, they're getting a free service. It's not just an IP lookup. A lot of details. There's a lot of stuff that goes into making this really work. And so finding the location of that IP address and doing all sorts of other additional lookups to see if it's on blacklists, etc. That all costs money. So the visitors are amenable to it being ad supported.
Yeah, and so obviously we're very conversion focused for design, and usually that means having just a single call to action, and because everything else is a distraction. But in this case, we know that the ad revenue is the way he monetizes, so we had to approach it very differently, and we had to be true to making sure he didn't lose any ad revenue, but just focusing on the things that we needed. That he sort of let us know were the most important. So this is what it used to look like before, and all the internal pages are pretty much very similar. It's probably going to take a while to go into an individual page because of the fact that it's just on the Wayback Machine, which we've explained on that on previous podcasts. But basically, I'm going to flip to the new design now, and just to show you, this is what it is. It still has all these ads flash, but when the ads disappear, it's just so much cleaner, and there's just one thing for people to do. So it'll show their IP address, and then it's got a big red contrast button that says hide my IP address now. And then everything else on the site is visual. It's all there, but it's just in the right visual hierarchy so that we put the main focus on the call to action. The ads are still all around it. They're very distracting, but that's a good thing when you're trying to make money from the ads. But then we go into these three other areas that Stephan mentioned earlier, like what is your biggest concern about using the internet? Security, privacy, access, and these go off to individual pages. But so this is really important because, when you're designing a website, you're not designing it for you, you're designing it to solve a problem of your prospects or your people that use your website. So just this question alone, which is your biggest concern about using the internet, is a really smart way to segment based on the reason that they're there, the problem that you're trying to solve for them. So
And what are those three problems? The three buckets in this case are?
yeah, so security, privacy, and access. But it says I want protection from hackers on public Wi-Fi and other unsecured networks. And then privacy is I want to prevent my government, ISP, and advertisers from tracking me. And then access is I want to access Netflix, Hulu, and other streaming services without being blocked. And just prompted me to say that, Stephan, was great because I just sort of skimmed over them. But when you really read the actual description of each of those problems, it gives so much more clarity. And I guess that's a lesson for anyone. Like, what is the benefit? If you just have like, here's the three things we do, but if you don't explain how people will benefit and what you can actually do with each of these options, it won't get as much click through. So yeah, this is it's very simple, but it's very conversion focused, and yeah, it's boosted their results. And obviously, we talk about what Stephan's done to get a lot more traffic. But part of getting better traffic is when Google, I guess, or LLMs give people what they want. And in other words, one of the algorithm things is when people click through to something, that's a conversion, right, Stephan? And that signals to Google that they're getting what they want. Is that kind of how it works with a billion other things amongst the algorithm?
Well, if so, Google's not using your Google Analytics data against you to try and penalize you if you're getting a lot of bounce rate, a lot of issues with people being dissatisfied once they're on the site. What Google does use against you and is able to see without looking at your Google Analytics is the dwell time. If somebody bounces out of your site and then clicks on another search result, see, the search results are click tracked. So if somebody clicks on result number 2, and that's you, and they're dissatisfied, the user is, and they come back and they click on result number 3, 10 seconds later, Google is able to measure that and to treat you accordingly. So if nobody wants to stick around on your site, then Google will demote your site because they're monitoring that dwell time and the clicks. But that's once you're on the site and I start clicking around as a user, that's private information that Google's not using to demote you or to raise your rankings. If somebody stays on your site for an hour or they stay for 2 minutes, as long as they're not bouncing back to go to do another search or to click on another result on the page in Google, then Google doesn't know what's happening. Maybe you went to lunch. Who knows? Yeah, but I do love like this little nuance of that big red hide my IP address now button that was not present in the previous version is a major conversion event that drives serious revenue for the client, for Chris, because when you want to hide your IP address, that means you want a VPN. And he gets a lot of money from people signing up from VPNs when people go through his affiliate link. So he has a whole set of tools and resources and information and comparison charts and everything about all the different VPNs, and they're all, they all click through an affiliate link so that he will make a commission once somebody does this sign up.
Excellent. And just on that, so all those things are now in a very well organized, simple to follow top navigation. So we have, my IP lookup, hide my IP, VPNs with the big list, with reviews, comparisons, all this stuff is super helpful.
Yeah, that's a drop down, but the other 3 are tools, and they just lead to one page with the tool on it. And then we have another drop down with additional tools, and then the learning center. Yeah.
So, and there's a lot in each of these drop downs. But when you look at the top nav without hovering over it, like it's so simple and easy to understand. It's very well organized, and you'll notice there's a secondary top nav above the main navigation that is for secondary things that aren't, monetary, if you like, they're not going to be monetized from about or press or podcast or support, but yeah, they're still there. They're just not as prominent. So I just think it's well organized. If you do have a lot of things to put in the top nav, potentially look at splitting it into 2 visual hierarchies. So the main one more prominent, and then the other one just smaller text links only.
Yeah. Now this is an unusual one because most of the sites that we have case studied had just a magnifying glass icon, and then you had to click on it to display the search field. In this case, the search field is displayed by default. Why is that important in this example?
Yeah, so realistically, it's very important across most websites to have a proper prominent search. However, it's more prominent for websites like this and e-commerce websites because there are a lot of different results. Whereas, for instance, if it's literally just like a personal brand website or a service business, there's usually not as many results, and it gets in the way of other things that we want people to do. So generally, we'll just compress it into a little magnifying glass. And then when pressed, it expands into its own search box. But yeah, this is really more important for conversions on e-commerce and websites like this. So we just make it more prominent for that reason.
Yeah. And then in this specific example, people are here to get an IP address, and it may not be the IP address of their own computer. It might be an IP address. Let's say that they're managing some online forum, and that forum has a potential spammer on it, and you're trying to look up that IP address associated with the contributor's posts or comments. And you can just paste in that IP address right into the search box without having to click on the magnifying glass first to display the field. And so this is a tool that a lot of people are looking up multiple IP addresses, and we want to remove all friction. So it's super simple for them, and without having to do an extra click to display the field, to just drop in that IP address that they want to look up.
And so you think, yeah, it's more important for people to find what they want, as opposed to, like I said before, for another type of website where it's more important for them to click on the top navigation than the search. That's why we change the visual hierarchy.
Yeah, yeah. So this is good. So in the case of there are different kinds of use cases for a website, and maybe there's a lot of opportunity there, a lot of potential for people to go down different kinds of rabbit holes. Or probably, if you add up everything in the drop downs, several dozen different things they could go to. Having just a very simple 3-bucket approach based on their problem they're trying to solve is a really viable approach to get somebody moving down your funnel and through your site hierarchy, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, everything is just thought through logically on what's most important, what do people want, and we want to give them what they want above the fold. What are they on the website for? And then we give them the secondary options. And then obviously we want a little bit of social proof, and in this case, it's authority boosting logos as seen on the Washington Post, CNN, USA Today, Fox, Guardian, etc. There's a lot of logos in there that his ideal target audience would recognize as well, being a lot of tech, prospects like PC World and CNET, etc. So, yeah, always be careful when you are putting as seen on. As they're completely relevant to your audience, and they'll understand them. And then there's more ads, and then he introduces his podcast right on the homepage, which I think is really clever, which is the Easy Prey podcast. And we're going to talk about that website in this case study episode as well. But yeah, it's good to cross promote. If you do have multiple websites, cross promote them from one to the other.
Yeah, and when you have a new podcast or podcast that doesn't get a lot of downloads or watch time, if it's also on YouTube, then using your larger website like Chris is doing here is essential to get the download numbers and the watch time that you want, because I mean he's basically his own advertiser, right? He's advertising his own podcast, and he's getting whatever number of downloads per month. I can't really share it, but it's more than I get. Substantially more than I get, because he's got a huge captive audience here on this What Is My IP Address site, that he can get people who are privacy and security minded to start listening to his show.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, and then he has links as well to some, big names that people would know in the industry of privacy.
Yeah, that's not just for social proof. That is actually for SEO. That was a recommendation I made that he implemented, and that was to drive link equity to the most valuable episodes on the easyprey.com site. So John McAfee was a big guest. I actually got John McAfee, to be interviewed, which was a huge win. Fabulous interview, and very popular, obviously. And so that's one of the first ones here listed. And sending a link sending link equity, sending PageRank over from this massively popular high domain rating website, What Is My IP Address, over to easyprey.com, which has a lot less, really made a difference in helping him rank for uh, like John McAfee related search queries and privacy related search queries and so forth with that episode page on each.
Very clever. Great idea, Stephan. Yeah. Love that. All right. And then further down, we just have some more ways of segmenting people and helping them on their journey. We have select from the.
And by the way, just to point out that this is this is very applicable and flexible. This approach of saying I want to drive people to, in the case I just gave, certain episodes. It's not like these are the best episodes on my show. No, these are the ones I most want to rank in Google. And so when you're getting like, check out these featured blog posts, these featured episodes, these featured products, these featured service pages, or whatever, that is oftentimes a missed opportunity where they're just putting ones that have been considered popular in the past or whatever, or they want to sell more of the product, but they're not thinking about the SEO implications. Like, oh, I'm at the top of page 2 in Google. Oh, if only I could get at least on the bottom of page 1, that would make a difference for this very important product, but it's not a top seller. I should feature it anyways. Even though it's a top seller, I'll feature it so that it'll send link equity and boost that page in its rankings, hopefully from page 2 to page 1.
Love it. Love it. Cool. Yeah. And so then we just have another section to help people, it segments them and takes them exactly to the tool, that's right for them, basically. And there's 8 tools there. And then FAQs, why are these on the page, Stephan? Because they're a bit ugly.
So that's really for SEO purposes more than anything, and also for the LLMs, because when you answer questions and then you mark them up in a schema format that says, hey, this is an FAQ, or this is a Q&A format, then it's more likely to be used in the LLM responses like ChatGPT, and it's more likely to be used by Google and things like the people also ask boxes as a featured answer. So that's why that's there. This is the most important page of the site. This is Ahrefs is a very popular SEO tool. DR, domain rating, is a very important metric from Ahrefs, and WhatIsMyIPaddress is in the 80s of domain rating or DR score. So if people listening who understand the importance of that metric, they're like, wow, that's a major site that has a lot of link equity. So just leveraging this particular page, which has that massive amount of, well, it's not DR, it would be UR, because we're talking about an individual page now. Overall, the DR is in the 80s, but the UR of this particular page is the highest UR score across all the site. URL rating, so each page has its own authority score, and this is the one. This is the golden page. So leverage it as much as you can with your best stuff, and in this case, having the FAQs, having those links to the most valuable and most important episode pages on Easy Prey, etc. That's all done very strategically.
I love it. Very cool. Yeah. And I guess it's from my perspective, it's a bit ugly, this section, but that's what I always say to clients. You have to get the balance right. Like, what do you want? Do you want a beautiful website with all the bells and whistles and super fancy and no text on it because you want to be like Apple? Or do you want it to rank and do you want it to convert? And it's getting that balance right. You can still have a beautiful design, but yeah, some sections need to take other goals into consideration, like FAQ.
Yeah, right. So I think great point. So if you look at a typical FAQ page on a contemporarily designed or modern design website, you'll see a question and then you'll see a plus sign with no answer displayed until you hit the plus sign or the down arrow. And then the next question, next question, next question, where all of the answers, except perhaps the first one, is hidden. Only the first answer or no answers are displayed, but that's where all the keyword rich, valuable content is, and now you're hiding it. If Google sees that as hidden by default with the having to jump through a hoop and hit a plus sign or a down arrow in order to display it, of course, Google is going to discount, not completely, but to some degree, that hidden content. So if you really, really care about the content that would be hidden using that plus sign or down arrow, then display it by default. And that's why these are displayed completely without having those down arrows or plus signs.
There you go. All right. So we spent a lot of time just on the homepage. What I thought was maybe we'll just talk about the about page and the press page, and then that'll tie into the other websites we've designed for him and why they're important as well. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so actually, why don't we pick the about page of Chris's site, because this is still the old about page that hasn't gone live with the new format. That will go live in the next several weeks, but not yet. So we'll talk about the about page and the storytelling and everything. The press page is very important for social proof, and I think we've talked about that before on previous episodes. But out of all the out of all the episodes that we've done on case studies, you and I think we're number 7 or something like that so far. This is probably and almost certainly, this is the most impressive of the press pages because he doesn't even have to try, and he gets media mentions all the time. It's really cool. So he'll and I and my team will periodically look up in a Google News archive search to see where the site and where he and his podcast are getting mentioned, and then we'll include these on the on this press page and on the press pages for his personal site and the podcast site if it's actually a podcast mention. And he gets, as you said in the earlier in the as seen on bar, the Washington Post and PC World and the Guardian and CBS and all that impressive mentions. And he even got a TV appearance that wasn't even one that he had solicited. That just they came to him. Yeah. So this is an opportunity for every site. If you get press or you want to get press, you need to feature it, and it should be in the top nav without having to dig for it. It shouldn't be hidden away under an about sub nav where you have to mouse over it. It should be really prominent because journalists and TV producers and podcast hosts and so forth, they're not going to dig around for it. They're going to quickly have a look to see, is this guy legit or this gal legit? Should I have them on my show? Should I use them as a source for my my article? Not sure. Oh, they have a press page. Let me take a quick look. Oh yeah. They're a celebrity. They've been a subject matter expert for a long time. Cited a lot of places. Yep, I'll use this person.
Yeah, got it. Good tip. All right, cool. And then he has a downloadable for his press kit as well, which is super helpful for event organizers or TV.
Yeah, so any kind of press, whether it's a journalist or a TV producer for a news program or even for speaking gigs, speaking opportunity that'll be organized by the conference producer. So they're going to be looking for some sort of a speaking kit or press kit or media kit to get a sense for you in a PDF format and not have to dig around and click around a whole bunch of different pages to collect that information.
Very cool. So speaking of like all this is, like boosting his authority, there's another bit of advice you gave to him, Stephan, which is to write a book. Why did you ask him to write a book? And what was the purpose of that?
Yeah, so it was a very different sort of, let's say, unfolding of this particular book project than others where I have advised the client to write a book. So we did Yosha Law Firm recently, so that's a great case study. And I did convince Brandon Yosha to write a book, and I brought in a ghostwriter for him to hire, and it turned out great. It was a memoir, and it really helped him with building his status and reputation. He was already a very successful lawyer, well regarded, but this really elevated him to another level. Well, this is a very different kind of approach that came about, and it actually was my book originally. So it wasn't called Privacy Crisis, it was called Data Rights, and I was the solo author. I was using my long-term ghostwriter that I've been using since, I don't know, since the 2000s, late 2000s. I've been using this guy for every book that I have produced. I used him to help me because it takes a village, or at least it takes a ghostwriter. I think it's not easy to write a book on your own, or even if you've got a couple of co-authors, it's still a huge task. Each edition of The Art of SEO was 2 years in the making. We were 4 editions into The Art of SEO, so 2 years of work for each one. That's a lot, and it's probably minimum wage when you consider how many hours and what the output in terms of royalties was. It's not much, but it's a huge business card. It's a really effective business card, a big one, right? So in this case, it was my book. And why was I writing a book on data rights? Well, I was guided. So it was really outside my comfort zone, and I don't know. I just I follow my guidance. I follow the still small voice, and yeah. But maybe it was 2 years into it. Maybe it was only a year and a half. I don't know. But somewhere along those lines, I got the guidance to actually invite Chris, my client, the subject of this case study, to be co-author with me. So it's still called Data Rights, and we still had my ghostwriter doing a lot of the heavy lifting. But now Chris agreed to be co-author. And months after that, I don't know, maybe it was 4, 5, 6 months after that, I got the nudge to actually pull out of the project myself. Not so much as like not helping Chris anymore, but not being a named author on the cover. So this is Chris's first book, solo authored, and that makes it a huge deal for him. He's not the second author on a book that, it's like, oh, Stephan has yet another book out. No, who's this other guy? Nope, this is Chris Parker's first book, and it's a doozy. It is amazing. So, Chris has done a lot to make this book his, and I just am really proud of him and proud of what we've accomplished together. And I don't need to be an author of a book outside of my topic space. It's, I really want this to do well, not just for Chris, but for the world. Because I was guided to work on this book because it was good for the world. Privacy is being eroded, and people's data is being used against them. And if you're not paying for the service, then you're not the customer, you're the product. And people are just very unaware of all the implications. And as AI takes over the world, privacy is going to become scarcer and scarcer. We have to do stuff now to protect ourselves. And yeah, this book is a very valuable book in that regard. And so I'm really happy that Chris saw the opportunity and the value in it too, and he has taken the reins.
Yep.
I don't know if you knew all that backstory about that.
I knew part of it. Yeah, that's an incredible story. And it's brand new, isn't it? So therefore, this website that we're looking at now is something that, you had our team design, and nothing existed before this. So let's maybe talk through.
Yeah, and by the way, Privacy Crisis as the title of the book came about in part because I'm really good at doing aftermarket domain lookups and trying to find domains for sale that, if you tried to find a domain that was available to purchase for $10 or whatever, good luck. But if you're willing to buy an aftermarket domain and spend at least 4 figures on it, then you have a world of opportunity available to you. And Privacy Crisis was one of those domains that he could have, that he bought, that it just makes it sound so much cooler. To try and limit yourself to just domains that have that are available to register immediately, that's just you're going to be sad. Everything good is taken. Everything good.
Yeah. Be prepared to pay a lot for a 2-word domain.com. Yeah. Love it. Yeah. Awesome brand name. And so, yeah, Stephan, had our team. I think we dealt with you with this brief, didn't we, for the book website? Yeah. And so we also designed the book cover, based on, um, Stephan's direction as well on, like Chris and Stephan, we send them a lot of different versions for feedback. And this is the one that they chose, which I think is really cool. I think the color palette's great. We just wanted to have like an uplifting feel. You think about privacy and crisis, people might think doom and gloom,
Yeah, yeah. We don't want this to be a dystopian novel. We want this to be a helpful how-to. Yeah.
Exactly. And so that's why it's the bright yellow and orange color palette that it is, So
Yes, and it's not a scary, intimidating security camera that you would see on the street that would catch criminals. This is more like a personal webcam, and there's some subtle elements here that you worked in as well, like the C in Crisis has this little key in the middle of it that doesn't look intimidating and scary. It just is a reminder, like, hey, you need to maintain your privacy because that's kind of the key to the kingdom.
exactly. And there's a little lock, negative, what would you call it, silhouette in the letter A in privacy as well. So it's like a lock and key.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one too. It's a little less uh, obvious because it's in the middle of the word, and privacy is a little bit smaller than crisis, but it is also a nice little subtle element that reminds us that hey, the topic of this book is securing your privacy, and it's not a novel. It's not a dystopian sci-fi, you know, get all freaked out sort of book.
Totally. Yeah. And then the color palette is a dark background above the fold, but not every section. It's not a dark background website. We just wanted to give the book a lot of emphasis. So we did a high contrast. The book's very light, so the background needs to be quite dark. Then we have a blue call to action to give the call to action a lot of, emphasis as well, a lot of attention. And what I love about obviously, because Chris is all about privacy. And so he's given away the main call to action is get the book gratis or gratis, whatever you would say. And so what that means is people can either opt in for it, sure, but then he says download anonymously. So that's your option. You can just download it without giving an email, which I think is really true to the main message of this whole book and his.
Yes, and it's available on his other sites too. That so this is a pop-up or modal box with first name and email, which it's like, okay, I have to give away a little bit of my privacy to this guy when he's trying to teach me about how to maintain my privacy. That's kind of ironic. No, wait a second. There's a little section underneath that says, underneath the big free download button, we respect your privacy, don't want to share your email, download anonymously. And it's not super tiny. It's not completely hidden. The word download is in all caps. It's just, it's he's very straightforward and he's not trying to game anybody. He wants to truly help people.
But I think it's smart because some people may want to get on his email list so that they get more valuable content from Chris, the expert, So they have a choice. You can either give your email or you can download without the email. So I think that's really smart.
Yes, and what a value stack when you see what you're getting. And that's part of the reason why we use the word gratis, because I actually learned this from Jay Abraham. He likes to use the word gratis instead of free. Free sounds cheap and it's just so overused. So get the free book. It's more of like, this is a value stack that it's just beyond belief. You don't just get a digital download of the manuscript. You also get a companion workbook. You also get the audio book, which is for sale on Audible. It's like not just one thing. It's all three, and these are valuable, expensive things that you'd spend, let's say, $10 or $20 for on a site like Amazon. So he's offering that completely free. And you could go on Amazon and buy the paperback or hardback of it, or you could buy the Audible version. You could buy a Kindle version. He is pricing the Kindle version very inexpensively to try and get people to buy the book, and especially in these early days of the book launch, and then hopefully get more people who are verified purchasers to write reviews for Amazon. That's very important for a new author, any author. It's really, really important to get those reviews and ratings. So that's the reasoning behind that. But this is unusual. Most authors are not giving away the audiobook. They're not giving away the entire manuscript, only a chapter or a sample of the book, a part of it, not the whole thing. He's doing all of it.
Yeah, no email. Incredible. Yep. So just on that, you also helped him get some social proof for the book before it was released. How'd you go about doing that? And
yeah, so I have a number of contacts. Yes, I've been hitting up different experts and authors and speakers, friends, industry friends, for a long time, decades, because each of my editions of the book, I'd want to get more endorsement quotes, also known as book blurbs. And so I hit up my network, and I got all these big names for him: Dr. Robert Cialdini, Robert Allen, who's sold tens of millions of books, Nir Eyal, the author of Indistractable. Yeah, he got Rebecca Harold. She was a guest on his podcast, but the other ones I got. And it's a great book. So people are willing. Like Justin Donald, he was really impressed with the book. I reached out to him. I have a lot of social capital with these folks. I help them out with stuff, and then they're willing to help me out or help my client out. And when he read it, he's like, "This is actually a very valuable book. This is really important. I'm super excited for it to come out, and I'll do whatever I can to support you."
love it. Yeah, and a few others as well. Incredible. Which, like you said, it's so important. But I also like your strategy of putting the Kindle $1 on Amazon. That's a great idea. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like forever. You can do it for the first 2 months or whatever. You do it for a day, even if you have a very expensive book that costs you a lot to produce and you don't want to offer it for 99 cents. Offer it for a day. Send it to your list that, hey, next Tuesday, I am going to offer the book for 99 cents. It's normally $14.99. It's 99 cents that day only. And if you want to thank me by writing an honest review, please do. But there is no obligation to do so. Just buy the book, tell all your friends, get it for 99 cents. It's on next Tuesday, on sale.
Awesome. Just while you're talking, I just skimmed through the homepage if anybody's watching, but yeah, we might just talk through roughly what we're trying to do with this homepage. So we're just trying to, obviously above the fold, benefit-driven headline, what the book's all about, some bullets, about the book by Chris Parker, founder of What's My IP Address, which is really good for a little bit of authority that links through to What's My IP Address as well when you click on it. And then we have a section which is really talking to the target audience, and it's just putting a little bit of truth into why this book's important and things that they should be familiar of, because it says your data is being used against you, and in a world of blah blah blah, like it's pretty important that people understand why this.
I love those bullets too under the do these sound familiar?
Do these sound familiar? You've been targeted by relentless ads based on conversations you've had. You worry about identity theft, but feel powerless to prevent it. And the third one is you're tired of companies profiting from your private information. If any of these points resonate with you, this free book offers valuable guidance. So get the book gratis is the call to action. So yeah, really cool. It's really putting a little bit of fear into them, but it's true. All this stuff is the reason why you should buy this.
But it's not over the top. It's not doom and gloom. It's just like, hey, this is serious. You need to take this seriously.
Exactly. And then we just go a little bit deeper, another section talking about the problems and, how you can, why the book's important to help avoid the problems. But then there's a little section about the author. We'll talk about the photo in a minute, which was generated by AI. We'll talk about that whole process because I think as a listener or viewer, you'll see what we started with and it's fascinating, the results. But yeah, and then we have a section for where you can buy the book or get it, for free. You can donate to a privacy-focused foundation, like donate to a charity.
And he'd make no money off of that, right? So you're giving a donation to, let's say, the EFF, Electronic Frontier Foundation, and he's making nothing off of that. Why is he doing that? Like, if you think about this is a section, here's how you can help us. Like, this is how you can be part of the movement, be part of the change you want to see in the world, and supporting a privacy-focused foundation such as the EFF will help that mission, even if it doesn't help Chris personally. Buying the book, of course, will help Chris personally because it'll help fund this endeavor, and he'll be able to, let's say, buy more Amazon ads to promote the book because he's getting some revenue from it and so forth.
Exactly. And like leaving a review, the more people that see this book, the more people that buy it, the more people he helps. So yeah, it's really helping everybody. It's a pretty good section. Then he has a video section. I'm not sure what's in that video, but he has more social proof.
Oh, actually, that was a great idea that you came up with. For it was based on the video that you told me about. That's building a story brand 2.0, the second edition of the book. So Donald Miller in his plaid flannel shirt, whatever, looking really, friendly and not intimidating, is having a chat with you, telling you about story brand framework and all this. So we kind of modeled after that, what you were suggesting, and my team actually came up with the script for his video, and then he did a bit, and then he got in front of his camera and did the video, and then we did all the editing after it. So I don't know if you want to share a little snippet of it. And so we're not getting any of the audio come through because yeah, it's not sharing audio. But anyways, you can stop it. This is, as you can see, it's got B-roll footage, it's got graphics and different kinds of effects, and it's got the social proof and the value proposition and all that. It's a helpful video.
The music I think is really cool as well that I heard in the background. So yeah, check it out. Nice one. Yeah. More social proof, and then just a final call to action to get the book for free. But then, yeah, he introduces his podcast, which is all related to this brand as well, where he interviews experts about privacy, related issues on the internet. And yeah, so the whole.
I mean, it's as much about scams or cybersecurity as it's actually more about cybersecurity and scams and avoiding them than it is about privacy. But he has dozens of episodes that are privacy focused. So we took those episodes and we featured some of the biggest ones on the Privacy Crisis homepage, and then drive the visitor to listen to the show, going to the Easy Prey website to subscribe and check out other episodes.
Understood, yeah. And we'll have a look at that website too, because there's 3 websites that we're going to look at that are all kind of tied in with a similar look and feel, just for brand consistency overall, but they still have their own unique look. And then footer, etc. So that's the homepage. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other internal pages, but for the sake of time, I just thought you can browse these websites at your own pace, privacycrisis.com. But I thought maybe we'd flip to the Chris Parker website to show the viewer what it used to look like before we redesigned it. And look, this is a very old website. Chris had no reason to put any effort into this initially until now that he has the book. People will be Googling or searching for his name. So that's why he's invested in, redoing his personal brand website. So
Yeah, and that personal brand website might be the entry point for a conference organizer to hire him to do a keynote, or for a major news program to invite him on their show. So this is a serious opportunity now. We got to really level up his personal brand. So that's why you have redesigned, you and your team redesigned the Chris Parker site, so cgparker.com. And as you can see, it desperately needed it, but now we have a viable business reason to do it.
yeah, exactly. And I guess just overall, like if you are trying to boost your authority, having a personal brand website is a great way to do that. It doesn't have to be directly related to your business. It can just be, your thought leadership, whether it's a blog or a podcast or, anything that sort of lets people know what you're all about. Even having like your timeline of your journey that led you to this point can be quite powerful. So yeah, it just all ties into, like, especially in an AI era, of how you can't be copied if you are uniquely yourself. And that's, yeah, having a personal brand website can do so many things for your business, for your brand in general, and it kind of future proofs you. And so
Yeah, yeah, like people like Gary Vaynerchuk say that all you'll have in the near future is brand. That's it. If you are competing in kind of a commodity environment and you don't have a recognizable and trusted brand, you got nothing, right? You're just at the whims of the LLM, whether it's going to promote you or recommend you or cite you or not, and the algorithms will advance at a much faster clip because of the evolution of AI and the law of accelerating returns. So you're not going to be able to keep up with the algorithms. You're only going to be able to stand on the power of your brand. And your personal brand is the most important brand because that's the one you carry from cradle to grave. Your company, you might sell. Hopefully you will sell and you make some money.
I was going to bring that up, Stefan. Exactly. Exactly. You might sell the business and then, yeah, your personal brand's not tied to it. So you've got to build that on the side, no matter what your future.
In fact, just yesterday I was interviewing for my other show for Get Yourself Optimized, Nicholas Kusmich, and he's a well-known expert in the Meta, Facebook and Instagram marketing space. It's been around forever, decades. He's now pivoting and no longer doing marketing. Yeah, so he has retired from the marketing space. He's focused on personal development now, and we talked all about it. Really fascinating episode. And the point of all this is he tied his own personal brand to his company to the degree that he can't really sell it. Nobody wants to buy nicholaskusmich.com without Nicholas. Whereas somebody like Neil Patel built a very viable separate brand, NP Digital, which could sell. It's making bank. He's got a really high-powered CEO and management team and lots of employees and lots of great clients and so forth. And he's not the one doing all the work, so he can step aside and sell the business. So, yeah, you want to create a business that is not just your personal brand, and you want to create a personal brand that's not just your business.
Fully agree. That's why I have studio1design.com. That's why you have netconcepts.com and your personal brand's separate. Yeah. And because you're obviously, you have a different passion, obviously marketing side, a part of that, but you have another side altogether, which is, personal development and spirituality. And yeah, you can't put that on Net Concepts, but you can put part of that on your personal brand website, So I think it's great. But yeah, and then you have
Let's look at the let's quickly look at the after of cgparker.com, and then we'll start digging into the photo shoot and what we had to work with and what you were able to create out of thin air using AI.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so we're now on Chris Parker's latest personal brand website, and yeah, we obviously just redesigned it very recently. It's just gone live. I'm not sure when this episode comes out, but it's a major step up from where it was. And like I said before, we're kind of trying to cross pollinate between all of his websites. So, we've redesigned Privacy Crisis. If you look at this just briefly, and then you go back to Chris Parker, they do have a similar feel. And then we'll show you just quickly the Easy Prey. That's the old one. We'll come back to this in more detail after. But here's his new Easy Prey website. And so they kind of have a similar vibe with high contrast. And then, we're kind of cross promoting each of the websites on each of the websites. So Chris Parker, that's his.
There's such great photos.
Yeah, the photos are incredible. All right. So do you want to talk about the photos now?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, as you know, if you're a personal brand, photos of you can be dated within, 5 years. You'll look a lot older than you did 5 years ago. So, these days, you can actually use AI to generate a photo shoot that'll be way better than you could get from a professional photographer these days. And I'll give you an example, right? So, what we did, Chris had a professional photo shoot done, and these were okay. They're not terrible, right? But we just thought they weren't that flattering. I'm just sort of skimming through a few of them on my screen now. He's in different attire, in a suit, in a shirt, etc. And look, they're okay. And we put on the website, and it just wasn't like when in our mock-up design phase, it just wasn't the look that we were trying to capture. So even though we kind of gave him a bit of direction for what we wanted to see, so then we said, well, okay, we're now using AI to generate photo shoots. And by the way, photo shoots can be, $5,000 if you get a professional photo shoot where they touch up the photos, and, they're well worth it. But you can do something similar with AI. And here's how we do it. So we just ask the client to send us, 20 photos of themselves. I'm just showing a few. I'm not going to zoom in on them because, for privacy reasons, but we've omitted all the ones that had his family in there as well. But just a few photos of Chris taken on his phone. They don't need to be professional. Some of these he's wearing a beanie, like different outfit, different lighting, different angles. And so what we do, we train a model in AI, and there's various AI tools out there that can do these headshots, they're called. But we found one in Canva, which anybody can go to. If you just look up AI headshots app within Canva, you'll find this incredible tool. There's a bit of an art form how to use it, but what we do is we upload 20 photos to it. We give it a various prompts, and then it'll produce some images that I'm sharing on my screen now. That is a good starting point when after it's trained the model, right? So it'll just produce these type of photos that we're looking at now, which look fantastic. And so from there, we can then share it with the client. The client lets us know which photos he likes, which ones he doesn't like. And this is a big mix in this folder that we're looking at now, photos that he liked and didn't like. And then what we can do is we can edit those photos, or we can retrain the model on the photos that he likes to create new photos. And then we can put him in whatever scene we want, have him speaking on stage in front of a crowd, wearing whatever he likes. We can change what he's wearing as well. It's just endless of what you can do. So yeah, this to me is the future of photo shoots. It's just incredible what you can do today. And yeah, so then we do a little bit of Photoshop work. And yeah, when we look at the final photos on his website, it just matches the brand. It just has the right look. Chris loves them. Chris said to us, it's just so uncanny. These photos look incredible. They look just like me, but I wasn't there. He was quite surprised how good they turned out. So yeah, we're loving this photo shoot with AI these days. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Stephan?
It's so much more viable for folks. You're not spending $1,000, $2,000 on a photo shoot. You're not investing all the time and energy picking out the different outfits and going to the location and arranging the mutual time that fits for the photographer and yourself, and potentially going to another city for it, etc. And it's so much easier to update the photos. It's just a new set of prompts instead of packing up and going back to the photographer for another round. So you can maintain more up-to-date contemporary photos of you as time goes on. So it's a no-brainer. Some people think that it's not really in integrity or whatever because it's not really you. That was an AI. The way I think of it is, if you're going to use AI in your business, which is going to be everybody, otherwise you're going to be out of business, then think of the how onerous it would be to disclose every single place where you are using AI in your business. That's just going to be untenable. It's like, think of every use case of a phone. You're going to use your phone in every aspect of your business, and you have to disclose it everywhere. I mean, that would be stupid. So this is the future. It's just that Chris is a little, one step ahead of uh, most people in terms of this use case of AI, but everybody's going to be on board with it. This is the future. This is the near term future.
Absolutely. And so we're using AI in a lot of ways to create websites, with the design, with the copy. There's a lot that goes into it that you would think is just hiring a professional copywriter or photographer or whatever, but no, not these days. You can have your team and just use various prompts, create all of the various aspects of a website. We're not quite there yet for turn in a full custom design that we design in Figma into a coded website, but that's probably coming at some point very, very shortly.
Yeah, and some people might wonder, well, why am I even considering hiring a company, an agency like Studio One, to do the design when there are already AI tools that will generate a design for me? Well, garbage in, garbage out. So unless you are the most amazing prompt engineer that has ever lived, then the platform that you're using will only generate what you tell it to generate. And so you have to be a master at your craft. You could have a piano in your home and never have taken lessons, and it's not that useful. So if you've got an AI platform for creating a website design or coding it into HTML, good for you. But that's just a piano in your living room. That doesn't mean you know how to play it.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, like our designers are great designers, but when they use AI, they're even better, and I've seen a lot of average designers use AI and they get average results. So yeah, I think garbage in, garbage out, but it's also having a creative mindset. And I find AI just gives you more freedom to be more creative because it's doing all the grunt work that you don't need to do. So yeah, it's very powerful. It's like, this photo of Chris on the podcast, Mike, is like, okay, that's great, but we want a little bit of, color and vibrancy in the photo. So we added a red background and things like that, just using AI. And you can just think of it and tell it what you want, and boom, there's a result. So you get to the result a lot quicker using AI. But you have to have the ideas. That's what I mean. If you're a good creative, you can come up with these ideas. If you're average, you're probably going to struggle. But yeah, so look at the before of this website, easyprey.com, what it used to look like. It was kind of doom and gloom, talking about the problem. Even the USP, their loss is another's gain. To me, that compare that to this. The new USP on the new website: stay one step ahead of scammers. Good visual hierarchy as well, with font use nice and bold. And then it has a little description about what this podcast is all about. It has a call to action, download assessment, and it has some good, impact metrics and social proof on there.
Yeah, look at that. 500,000 downloads, 1.3 million video views. That's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. Then there's a little player of the latest episode directly underneath, which is all interactive. And it then has some as seen on logos, which
Yeah, and those as seen on specifically mentioned his podcast, and not the What Is My IP Address site, or both. So it's like we're making sure it's legit and not just yeah, it's relevant to the Easy Prey podcast.
yeah. And then for more authority, we feature the guests that are a big deal in this space, like Chris Voss. I mean, he's a big deal in a lot of different spaces. But yeah, Robert Cialdini and John McAfee. Is that how you pronounce his name? McAfee? Uh,
Yeah, so Chris Voss, author of Never Split the Difference, which is the the best book, I think, on negotiating. He's phenomenal. Yeah, I landed him for my show, and I got him to be a guest on Easy Prey as well.
Amazing. Yeah. So all this stuff boosts authority, but nice design as well. We kind of got this idea from what website was it? It's like a movie poster.
Yeah, it's kind of like a combo between Netflix and Masterclass.
Yeah, somewhere in there. But yeah, it's still uniquely branded for Chris. And it's also designed in a way so that it's easy for future episodes like we'll upload these to the client's Canva account so they can just swap out the photo, things like that to make it easy for them.
Yeah, and all the text is overlaid on top and not part of the image. Even the red background, the um, diffusion pattern thing under in the bottom, that's all overlaid on top of the photo. So it's super simple for somebody to go into Canva and drop in a photo provided by the guest, and that's all handled, in the overlays instead of having to do that as part of the Canva template.
Nice, yeah. And latest episodes. And then, yeah, we just have another sort of area for people to subscribe, the ratings and reviews. And then, yeah, a little section on Chris Parker that will then go off to his About page so you can read the journey. We'll show that in a minute, or maybe we'll show that on the personal brand website. It's kind of similar, isn't it?
Yeah, let's show it on the personal brand.
Sure. All right, we're on there now. So, yeah, this is Chris's personal brand website About page. So, above the fold, we want people to get a copy of his privacy crisis book, and we're going to show a little bit of authority above the fold as well before we get into what his mission is, and why he's an expert and what he's an expert in, and then we go into his journey so far that led him to this point. Which we always use this timeline format, which is just a really nice visual way to tell your story in bite-sized chunks so that it's interesting for people, not a boring big slab of text. But yeah, when a client puts their milestone for each of the when a client puts together their journey, each of the milestones need to be relevant to the purpose of this website. So we're not just going to put random things on there. But yeah, we also want to show his personality, so because people obviously want to know who is this person behind the brand. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we've come up with for, Chris Parker's websites. Is there any other pages you want to run through, or do you want to get into the results? Because it's a long episode.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think our listener is getting value out of it, so they're probably still listening. Yeah, so just to kind of wrap this all up in a bow, we've got multiple websites here that have different ways of building his business and his authority and future proofing him and his business, because you can't rely on one traffic source, you can't rely on just one website. And so he is diversifying. So he becomes a subject matter expert in privacy with a legit, really valuable book that's got lots of great endorsements, and he has a next level looking podcast website and great high profile guests on that show. He has his personal brand site that touts him as a subject matter expert and a speaker and author and so forth. So he's diversified and he's future proofed. Whereas, let's say a year ago, before the book was finished, before the websites were built or any of that, it was just WhatIsMyIPaddress.com, and the about page on WhatIsMyIPaddress kind of hid him behind the scenes because he didn't want the limelight. Well, now he's kind of not forced into the limelight. He's forcing himself into the limelight. It's called a forcing function, where you say, hey, I'm going to lose weight, or I'm going to run a marathon or whatever, and you announce it publicly. And it's like, all right, now you're going to do it. And so he's pushing himself outside his comfort zone so that he can be an even bigger force for good in the world. And it's just really, really cool to see how this has all come together. He had no interest or desire to run a podcast. I convinced him. So that was in 2020 that he finally started that. And now he's 5 years into it and he's just a natural at it. And he's got, who knows how many people he's saved their fortunes, he's saved their lives with the content that he has put out there. He's doing a really wonderful service to humanity.
Yeah. And he deserves he's such a nice guy. He deserves all the success.
Yeah. So if you want to support him, go buy his book, Privacy Crisis, on Amazon for 99 cents, even though you could get it for free from privacycrisis.com. Buy it and write him a nice review if you like the book.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. All right. So you've got a little case study on your website, stephanspencer.com. Do you want to just sort of run through the results?
Yes. Yeah. So this is a beautiful case study designed by Studio One. Did you want to just kind of quickly scroll through it so we could see what it looks like, and then we'll go back to the beginning? It's got such a beautiful visual hierarchy to it, and storytelling, and lots of splash and visual interest. So it's not a boring wall of text, background, solution, results, kind of typical results page. This is great storytelling.
Page, isn't it? It's incredible. Like, it's so long, but with so much value throughout the entire page. And yeah, call to action at the end, if you know.
So let's go back to the top and then we'll kind of go through this very quickly. So this is, I think, a best practice example in case studies. So you want to tell a compelling story. It's not just about you as the service provider. It's about the hero's journey of your client. So telling that story about how he was a tech worker and he just started this kind of for fun as a little side project, not expecting it to really go anywhere, blah, blah, blah. And then the results, really impressive. Top 3,000 of all websites, et cetera, et cetera. So he went to, just in the engagement of 8 years of us working together, 2 million to 13 million unique visits a month. So let's scroll down to the next section. We've got a nice quote from Chris. Let's scroll down a bit more. So here's how things started with our relationship. We met at Affiliate Summit West in January of 2017, and then he hired me almost immediately after that, within days. And then what did we do to break through the plateaus and really evolve his business and him personally? Because he's been getting coaching from me the entire time, not just consulting, not just agency services.
Yeah, you gave him the advice to write the book and do the podcast and all those things.
Yeah, but it's advice on improving himself too. Like when you are focused on the white light, then you get all the colors of the rainbow included in it. You just need the prism to display those. Whereas if you're chasing individual colors like relationship or your business or finances or whatever, right? Then health, then you have this unbalanced equation. This lack of balance then leads to other areas of your life. You lose momentum. Right? You're so focused on your health, maybe you lose track of your business, or you're so focused on your business, maybe you lose your health, heaven forbid. So chase after the white light. That's got it all, and everything grows. This is an analogy I learned from a Kabbalah teacher, David Guillaume, famous, pretty well known in the spirituality space. He's got a popular podcast, etc. I've had him on my show on Get Yourself Optimized. So that's where I learned about this prism idea, and that's how I help somebody grow through whatever plateaus and comfort zones and issues, problems, opportunities that they're facing.
Very cool. All right. So yeah, and then talk about the strategic shifts.
Yeah, so we talked a lot about some of these bigger projects that we worked on, getting him to podcast, getting him to be a book author, etc. But here you can see I've got some kind of behind the scenes on the use of AI and the use of SEO tools and kind of just like processes, SOPs, and so forth. So I actually shared screenshots of content plan, of content analysis, of internal linking plan, of site health checks, and some example brief for a content revamp. These we call page level analyses. So a page level analysis isn't just, hey, fix the title tag and add this meta description or whatever. It goes really in depth based on the keyword research and what we're trying to, what outcome we're after. How do we overhaul everything from headlines and the page hierarchy to the use of schema markup and the metadata and all that as well, interlinking from other pages to this page, etc. That's all baked into a page level analysis, and we've done a number of those for this client. And then we actually implement it. So some cases the client implements it, and in this case we implement those. But that's our roadmap. That's our plan for executing a high value page, a pillar page that's already ranking well, and get it ranking even higher.
Amazing. So the results, Stephan.
Yeah. So together, you and I and our teams have gotten an incredible ramp up in traffic. As you can see here, this screenshot is pretty impressive. So we are really happy with the results. Clients really happy with the results, and I think this, frankly, if I were in the business of acquiring websites, I'd be knocking on Chris's door because, as I said, a lot of people are seeing a loss in traffic and a loss in organic keywords, and because of what's happening with AI, and people are not they're not clicking, they're not going from the AI overview onto the website. But here we're still in a healthy, viable business, not getting a downturn. So that is, I think, a great acquisition target personally if I were in that business of buying websites. So that is in large part due to our collaboration, and our everything I've learned from you and you've learned from me, and we've 1 + 1 = 3. You and I work together really great and come up with some incredible outcomes for our clients, and this is one of them.
Yeah, love it. Awesome. Well, do you want to talk about the other results?
So this is a keyword chart. This is from SEMrush, and this includes SERP features, but the primary traffic is coming. The primary, so when you look at keywords, what are the top 3 positions, top 4 through 10 positions, etc., and what are the SERP features, which includes people also ask boxes and AI overviews and all that. So you want to be tracking all of that so that you can see how you're doing with your top 3 positions. How are you doing with positions 4 through 10? How are you doing with SERP features and so forth? And it's not just an overall up and to the right graph, which, yes, we do see that, but also on an individual section of this. If I were to show all these screenshots, you'd see a growth in top 3 positions. You'd see growth in top 4 through 10 positions. You'd see a growth in SERP features. Search engine results page, SERP. SERP feature is the acronym. So anyways, that's all good, and what gets measured gets managed, as Peter Drucker supposedly said. So we got to measure this stuff so we can start improving and seeing the results. Okay, so this is a screenshot also from SEMrush of referring domains. So we did a lot of link building for him in recent years, but we stopped in when was it, like 2024, 2023, something like that, and focused on other projects instead. So we did get a bit of a drop off in referring domains, but it's not been a problem. You've got only so much you can do with a certain budget. So where do you get the most leverage? And I say, if you can be strategic and come up with something that is outside the box, like become an author in your space, and you're the only author in like the IP lookup service provider space, that's a difference maker. And really up leveling your personal brand and all the stuff that we talked about through this whole episode. If you have unlimited resources, great, do it all. But most people don't. And so with a certain budget and a certain amount of time, what are you going to do? And so we reallocated a couple years ago all the link building budget towards these special projects. And I think the results speak for themselves.
Got it. Absolutely. It's incredible. Which was, the redesign, which we've been over. The obviously, redesign of the What's My IP address, which is contributed to the results. But now the personal brand personal brand website upgrade. It's a long episode, Stephan. Privacy crisis website, but the whole book, everything to do with that brand. And the podcast website. So, onwards and upwards from here. And those three websites are quite new, right? Like the redesigns, they've only just happened. So we don't have any official results from them yet. But I guess part of the result is it will help boost his authority. It goes without saying, with three very professional looking websites that serve a function. So, you helped him with all his social media as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we helped him with YouTube and continue to help him with that. So we have video editors on staff. We have YouTube specialists who understand the algorithms and thumbnails and titles and playlists and all that sort of stuff, and how to get more watch time. He's doing well. We've really put him on the map in terms of YouTube Shorts. So that was an opportunity that he was not leveraging until we got involved on that front. So he has an internal team for his podcast, and he was doing his internal team was doing his own main long form video episodes, but the short form ones we did, I think starting a few years ago, and that's definitely a growth area. And also, we're going to be helping him with more face-to-camera solo content, so that he can have stuff outside of his podcast episodes on his channel. So that's to come.
Amazing. Yeah, cool. And another section, just talking about our partnership essentially, and humanizing his brand. Yeah, really putting him from behind the scenes into the limelight, which is really cool. And we did. He's been on your podcast a couple of times, and then we've got our previous episode where we.
Now that's the placeholder actually for the episode that we're recording right now.
Is that this one? Right. There you go. Okay. All right. Let's not play that one. Cool. And then a really nice summary at the end of this, I think, and a nice note from Chris as well.
Yeah. So this is a really important point. Like, what's your why? One of his whys is faith. His faith in God. And one of the great stories of us working together, one thing I'm super proud of about us working together, is he on his own decided with his wife to make a stretch goal of a 6-figure donation in a single year, which is a big deal. And miraculously, by the end of the year, he had made that amount of money times 10 in order to make it equal out to tithing exactly 10% of his income.
I love it.
Yeah. So that was like way big stretch goal out of his comfort zone at the beginning of the year. And then by the end of the year, it was almost to the dollar. And he was like, wow.
Incredible. It's amazing what you can do when you set your mind to something.
Well, when you're in partnership with God. Yeah. You're not just doing this with the power of your right hand. You're doing it in collaboration with the all that is the master of the universe. Because if you think of him as your business partner, anything's possible.
Very cool. And then the results overall, just a summary section to say what you've achieved together over the last 8 years. Yeah. A lessons learned section. Like, this is next level for a case study page.
And it's so beautifully designed. Thank you, Greg, and thank you, Studio One.
Yeah, that's right. But thank you for sending Chris our way. But yeah, that's kind of a wrap. So yeah, incredible results. It just goes to show, I mean, I guess for me, the summary is that the longer you're with somebody as somebody to help guide you, the better. And obviously for SEO and website traffic and conversions, all those things help. But yeah, I would say as well for anybody out there that, really the main lesson here, I guess, is to compete with AI, compete with your competitors. The only way you can do that is to build your personal brand, and brand is going to be, the future if it's not already. So consider that.
Yeah, I mean, don't just build your personal brand, build your business brand too, because both are important. And one is not the other. So don't confuse them, because then you might be in a position like Nicholas is going through right now.
Exactly. Yeah. So keep them separate. But yeah, anything else to add, Stephan, to wrap it up?
Oh, no, this was great. And it's a long episode, but we went through four websites and a big strategy, actually several big strategies through this. So yeah, I think that we delivered a lot of value in this extra long episode.
What I find incredible, just to wrap it up, to the way you work with clients is you can think really big picture strategy, and then you can get right into the finer details to, those SEO things that you do. That's just incredible. So yeah, it's really good to see the breadth of how you help clients. It's incredible.
All right. Well, thank you, listener. Thank you, viewer. This was an extra long episode. I appreciate you sticking around to the very end. Now, please do something with this. This isn't just edutainment. You need to apply it in your own business. If you don't have a business, then a family member, a loved one, somebody that you care about, help them with their business and get them more traffic, more sales, more reach, more impact in the world. And we'll catch you in the next episode. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer, signing off.